This podcast is brought to you by Pragmatic Solutions, the leading iGaming PAM platform with a modular approach, including many benefits like a fast, secure, and scalable API-based platform, integrated with all major third-party products and services. Make sure you head over to Pragmatic Solutions and join our smart thinking.
Phil, to start off the podcast here today, I want to show a image on the screen like we did last time. Last time
Tim
it was
Heath.
the first podcast we did in the studio, and we showed our near and dear friend Tim Heath on the screen, and we saluted him. But today I want to start the podcast on a similar note by just showing a picture and just hear your first reaction to this photo. So if Gian in the background can put this photo, what do you think about this photo?
Why?
So for those of you guys who are listening here, it's a photo of one of my favorite people in the entire industry, Pontus Lindvall, legendary CEO of Betsson, who has an irrational fear of dough.
I mean, maybe his mum scarred him as a child by hitting him with dough, which is why she felt like she owed him.
I don't know.
Or doed him.
The title to the photo is Pontus Lindvall does not back down to fight the powerful gambling monopolist, but dough gives him chills.
What kind of? This is great marketing.
Right. But this is typical Pontus. If you look at the Betsson quarterly reports, you always see like a very odd but strangely funny photo of Pontus in every single report. I love that as well.
I wish I did some quarterly reports to be part of.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you actually want to read them.
Yeah. I'd read this. It's a great shot.
All right, we'll leave that photo to be captioned afterwards in
Please.
some form or another. But Phil, it's great to have you back here, of course, today. You are now the CEO of White Label Casinos. A lot of things have happened since we last sat in this chair. And first of all, how are things on your side?
Yeah, the podcast went really well last time, so I just got my own company. Thought, why not? Yeah. No, we were part of iGaming Group. We kind of still are, like the owner of us. Co-owner is now still iGaming Group, but we can kind of do whatever we want. So we're pushing white labels.
Thinkers.
Yeah, it is for me. I have a really good chief legal officer called Gail who kind of keeps me in check. Right. So no, it's incredibly busy, like with everything, regulation changes. And I come on there, I never talk about myself. So this is weird for me.
Okay.
Good
practice.
It is good practice, but no, it's very, very busy. Like you don't see how much goes into it before you actually do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, hours have extended in the working day quite a lot.
Right. And what was with the proclivity for ducks?
Oh no, ducks are great. Right. So ducks are the only animal that love food and are grateful, but they don't beg. If you think about it, like you give a dog a treat, it'll beg for more treats. Ducks don't. You give it some bread and it'll just go away. But also they're just really cute. So why not? And they're very loyal. So why not have a duck as your mascot? Right. It's on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Don't know if you can pick that up.
Yeah. True. Yeah, there it is. And so there's something more to that in the way you approach business, basically. Where you're getting a piece of bread and you're basically happy with that piece of bread.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to do too much. We don't want to start. I don't know. We don't want to be Flutter. It's just too much. Right. But we're happy with the white label side. And ducks are just cool.
Yeah.
No one has a cool mascot.
No.
We're just doing everything we can to win Brand of the Year at iGaming Idol. That's pretty much our whole thing.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later as well, of course. First of all, I want to jump in the last podcast, we spoke about kind of the hottest game studios at the moment and kind of like a hot or not type thing. And this became a bit of a discussion point within the industry, of course. So since then, I want to bring this question up again, of course. So if you look at the game studio environment today, what would be kind of your high-level thoughts of who are the current kind of leaders in that space, who are advancing and perhaps who are doing not that well, let's say?
I mean, last time I think I went out on a limb and said Evo would drop in their RNG results, and they did. So I'm happy about that. I'm not happy for them, but I'm happy that we can call it. But they're kind of declining. You saw the demise of Green Jade, sadly.
Right.
But I think on the up and coming side, it's more of a case of like reaffirming their position. But people like Hacksaw Pragmatic are doing really, really well because they are making those deals with crypto, with Curacao, with grayer markets because of the regulation changes. So I think people who are ahead of the trend there are going to do quite well.
Right. But Evo still, you mentioned, obviously in the last quarterly report, they lost some kind of revenues from the RNG side of the business. But I saw a recent poll from Big Win Board that still had NLC as the winner in kind of the most popular game provider. So still part of the portfolio.
It's all classic games. It's all from a year or so ago. So No Limit City's kind of peak was 2020, 2021, where they bought out like 6 or 7 top class games, like probably of the best games in the world at that time. And then since then, I mean, I hope they don't hate me, but there's been a little bit of a dip. They haven't found anything as solid as the releases they had then. So the volume you're seeing on those are all on the older games.
Okay.
There's only 1 or 2 newer games in the last year that are in our top 50.
Okay.
But their 8 games from 2021, 2020 are always in the top 50.
Right.
So they're kind of living off the good stuff they've made in the past, not the newer stuff, which isn't quite on that level.
Right. Is it becoming more difficult, perhaps, to grow in general as a game studio now, too, considering that there is like 500 game studios out there,
so many,
tens of thousands of games and so on. So, I mean, can you expect any game studio to grow in this environment?
You need something unique, I think. So, like, as a player, because I play a lot, I mean, as testing the games and playing the games, the ones you like the most are the ones with the different concepts. So, Hacksaw's concept of their kind of volatile but multiplier-based games are good. No Limit City has all their crazy mechanics. Those games do really well and will continue to. But as for market having 500 game providers, yeah, it's too many. I mean, we're going to see, like Green Jade, we're going to see the decline of, and probably closure of quite a few this year, I would say, or the merger into someone else.
Okay, and is there anyone that comes to mind, do you think, that are not doing that well?
Some, but I mean, the most common ones that you'll see are the smaller providers who operate on other people's platforms. So like the people working on microgaming or Games Global now. There's some smaller providers there that don't get that much traffic. I can't see them being around for that long.
Right.
There's a couple of like startups that have come around, but it took them so long to start up that you're not sure they're ever going to be able to crack the market because everyone's focusing on single integrations, on saving time, saving money, and then having a new game provider with a new integration to go into a pipeline that might already be 40 or 50 providers deep. You're not going to get live for 2 years.
Right.
So they have to be very clever into how they get onto these sites. So find the big aggregators, find ways of joining in with Yggdrasil, Evolution, One Stop Shop, that kind of thing, to get on their systems. It's the quickest way to market.
Yeah. Is it so the success or the failure of a game studio? How much do you attribute to like the commercial side and on the other hand of the actual design of the games?
I mean, commercially, some, but not a lot. I mean, our most expensive providers, I mean, Evo's up there for sure.
Right.
But they do a lot of volume because they have a good quality production. Like Evo's live games are better than anyone else's.
Right.
Prague are growing because they're in the markets and in the places that Evo aren't. But when it comes to actual slots, I'd say it's more about the quality and gameplay of the slot and the value of the account management team doing it than the actual commercial. Because if we have a game provider at 8% compared to 12%, as long as the volume's coming in, we don't really mind that much. No. We can push the lower content, sure, but the 12% providers are giving us deals, they're giving us bonuses, they're giving us discounts for certain months, that kind of thing. So it's the value of the AM team, I would say, that's important there.
Yeah. And looking at Evo specifically, and so obviously they are losing market share, it seems like, while, for example, Relax Gaming published it through Kindred in the quarterly report that they've actually doubled in size. They've grown a lot in recent times. So what would you attribute, for example, Relax Gaming success to? And looking at Evo, then on the other hand, is it the fact that they have the highest fees in the industry, which may be feasible on the live side, but it's more difficult to justify on RNG? Is that part of the...
Nowadays, yeah, because affiliate traffic is a lot more expensive. But what most people don't talk about are payment fees. So payment fees in 2017 were, say, 3% for a Visa transaction. If you look at Curacao now, you can get up to 10, 12% some ways. So you need to save that money somewhere.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Relax, as your example, Relax are incredible at what they do. Their games are really, really good. Their account management is really, really good. But something they do which no one else does is every week they have a tournament on their new slot. They release it to all the industry. Everyone plays for free, and the winner gets €400 of Amazon vouchers or something.
Okay.
But everybody plays it. So everybody tests that game. All it takes is a few casino managers to like that game, put it number one on the casino, Relax, make a fortune. It's genius. Simple.
Right. And it's just a couple of €100 a week.
€500-600 a week, maybe.
Yeah, and that's it.
No one else does that.
Right.
They also call us about their new games. Their AM sends us game sheets, demos. They take us bowling sometimes. Fun.
So now in a couple of weeks' time, you'll start seeing like 200 providers that are spamming out tournaments for the operators.
Yeah, and it'll just be me and my team at bowling like 24/7 for a week. That'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. But you'll be experts on the game, that's for sure.
True.
So again, looking at the full environment, and what do you think? Again, Evo. Like if you were Martin Carlesund and you look at the RNG segment and you have a goal to achieve double-digit growth,
I'd just retire if I was him. I'd just be like, thank you. See you later.
Exactly.
No,
have your millions. So.
I mean, you have to invest in the people who are pushing the games, because whilst everyone has Evo pretty much, you don't get the same quality. And I don't mean this in a mean way about the people there, because some people are very good. But I think they're all very busy. I think they all work to kind of cross-stream on everything. And they're focused on new and upcoming things. There's no one doing the day-to-day grittier work of pitching us the new games, of asking people to beta test, alpha test stuff, and then promoting them to the people who are going to run them. Like, we haven't had a promotion of Evolution for about 2 years now.
Oh, well. Whereas most other kind of tier 1 game studios are more aggressive in the way they...
Prague, we get one every month.
Yeah.
So we get 4 or 5 games that we get either a deal on or we get a promotion on for our clients, that kind of thing. Yeah. Evo we haven't had. So the numbers have gone, over the past 2 years, Evo's dropped about 35%. Prague's gone up, I think, 9,000%.
Okay.
And that might also be because of their content. But yeah, I would say that the actual dealing with the clients would be something more important they could do, along with, I mean, look at the quality of the games, because I said this last time, they're just not as good. Right. Sadly.
Which are the most popular games of Evolution today on the RNG side? Is it the kind of the legacy and NetEnt game still?
On the
Starburst?
Yeah, Starburst is always up there. Yeah. It's a free spin game. It's brilliant. I mean, my favorite's not there. I like Vikings by them. It's like 5 years old. It's great, but nobody plays it. Just me. Okay. I think it's just me contributing to that. Some of the new ones peak for about a week while people try them, and then they drop down. But you're looking at legacy stuff or the big Red Tiger releases, Gonzo's, Quest, Megaways, that kind of thing. Their releases are kind of just all along the same lines. So nothing's kind of in our top 20 or 30 apart from Starburst and Gonzo's Quest, really, sadly.
And so it's difficult, like you said, to release a game that, first of all, people are curious to try it, but then a game that actually sticks. And that's what you're saying Evolution has a problem with there.
Yeah, but I mean, Pragmatic have the same thing. Like, they'll release, 8 million games a year or something? It's like one every 3 or 4 days, give or take. But only 3 or 4 of them are really, really good. The rest are standard. But because they make so many, the chance that one of them will stick, if they throw it, will increase. But because Evo are only bringing out, especially on NetEnt side, 5 or 6 this year, it's a lot less. Big Time Gaming, similar. I mean, they had the best games in the world for a couple of years, but now that's slightly falling down. Yeah. And Red Tiger's always been about the same, just in the middle. So
is it mostly about, you hear, the likes of Play and Go and Evolution and others talking about the ambition of releasing many games. Is the ambition always to kind of try to find that one-hit wonder each year? Or is it also a part to just release so many games, and even if they don't generate that much GGR individually combined, they still kind of pull up the numbers?
I think it's a bit of a mix. I think they look for 1 or 2 big ones, like Play and Go had Book of Dead the year after Reactoons, the year after Legacy of Dead, something like that. And then in between, they have all these games with similar concepts, similar maths, similar mechanics. It's cheap to release, but it keeps the GGR going in that direction. It keeps them noticeable because they're always top of new games, always the logo's there, so people want to play them and then go. And then that's where the name comes from. And then it just kind of keeps them fresh without making anything that's too game-changing. But then on the opposite side, you have No Limit City, who made a game every 2 months for a while, but they were always top quality. So there's two ways to go. I would say if you look at the valuations, No Limit City probably was the right way of doing it. But at the same time, I don't think anyone's ever accurately valued Pragmatic to know what they're worth, but probably in the billions, I would say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They would be. I mean,
many billions.
Many billions, yeah. So say Evolution has a market cap of something like 25 billion today, euro. And so if you just look at the amount of GDR or the amount of net revenue that Pragmatic is most likely generating, you would imagine that their valuation would be similar, especially considering how fast they are growing.
Wouldn't surprise me if it was higher. Based off GGR and that, but. Yeah, even if you value it about the same amount, it's crazy high. What they do works so well. But they do it pretty well.
The last time we spoke was back in, I think it was October of last year, or something like that. And you talked about how big Pragmatic was at that time.
Oh, with the live casino, yeah.
Yeah, and have Pragmatic grown even further, would you say, since that time? They are consistently growing?
They're consistently our number one provider, for sure. There's certain dips in certain months, depending on what they release. But on the live casino side, it's probably up about 2 or 4% for us by now.
Okay.
So it's growing slightly. If you look at the crypto casino side, I guess it'd be growing a lot more. Because they can push it more heavily. But for us, especially fiat markets, people prefer Evolution. So...
Evo, that's obviously the shining star of Evo. They are like just crushing it on the live side of their business, constant growth. They are a machine on that side.
They are a machine.
But would you say that is there anyone who would threaten Evo on the live side? Is there any like clear competitor, would you say, today?
Not yet. I'd say only because of the fact that they have games so many places. Prag would be the one to get close to them. But it's a while away yet. They still have to develop something themselves that isn't a rip-off of Evolution. So they tried it with, I think, Sweet Bonanza Candyland or whatever it was called. But they're getting there. They just need a couple of fresh ideas. Because even looking at Todd, like Todd made some really bad games. He will probably admit this himself, like Sidebet City. What was that?
Yeah, he talked about it.
But A Crazy Time and Monopoly were genius. So... it's finding that 1 or 2 games that will bring... Because I reckon Crazy Time probably converted about a good percentage of people who played slots into playing live casino. So that's what Prag needs to find, I think.
What about the new game of Evo, Funky Time?
I've not played it on purpose. I'm waiting for it to come out, and then I'll probably get addicted and lose a load of money on it.
So you're waiting as long as you can.
I'm waiting until I find it somewhere on beta testing, and then I will play it.
So that's a bit of the challenge as well in the live casino side is, I suppose, what providers like Evo need to think about is how do you create new games that don't just cannibalize from other games that you already have in your portfolio. So Funky Time is potentially similar in the kind of action that you get as other live games that they have. Obviously, Crazy Time being kind of or Funky Time being a spin-off of Crazy Time, let's say. Is that something that you see as well? Like how, again, like if you were Todd and you were thinking about creating a game in the live environment, like how would you go about that?
I need to get myself into a super extroverted mindset right now to be Todd.
Okay.
He's just cool.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but the thing is with Crazy Time, they have an idea that works. So you can create a wheel-based game which is heavily favored to the house because of the multiplier on top. Like they control that multiplier. It's how they control their edge. But looking at the mini games within the game, that's what you can change. So if you can create something within there that changes everything that's going on that wheel, you could just re-release the same thing 50 times and have 50 completely different products.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good idea that they're doing with Funky Time. There's not that many ways you can reinvent literally, as I said this last time, but you're reinventing the wheel every time. So it's like roulette, extreme roulette with 2 X's on it. There's only so many ways you can go.
There's so many letters in the alphabet that you can put in there to hypergame you.
And unless they bring out something with like 50,000 times multiply, but no casino's going to put that live because they can't afford it.
Okay. Can't you insure against that?
Yeah, but then you need to pay a percentage of the bet, and then that's when the insurance gets negative for the casino because the RTP is unfriendly.
Right. Okay. So it's
a
up the edge, essentially.
Yeah, we've rejected a few jackpot games because the insurance that you have to pay actually makes it a loss for you to have it on the site.
Oh, really?
It's not always the best thought out.
Yeah.
I think one of them was NetEnt in the past that they tried.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too much into that because I might have got it wrong, but either way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if they keep doing good, innovative things with what they have, because, as I said, live casino, you need to have a person, you need to spin a wheel, do some kind of event.
Yeah.
And they've done it with dice now. They've got a load of different things going on. So, I mean, hopefully it'll be pretty good.
Yeah. So we mentioned here previously that a couple of weeks ago, the press release was announced that Green Jay Games had folded, essentially a game studio that was quite kind of profilistic here in Malta, at least. They were making big noise and big waves. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to kind of introduce this arcade genre into
skill-based.
Yeah, skill-based. They were trying to do something different, which in a way, you have to give them credit for it, I'd say. But why do you think it's failed?
People don't care in a simple way.
Yeah.
Like if most gambling people, like on a study there was like 60% of people play in secret.
Yeah.
A lot of people play when they're bored, like a break at work if you're smoking or when you get home and you can't be bothered with the children. Like a lot of people play in the bathroom. Fun fact. But the one thing you're not going to be doing is reinventing kind of how you're playing. It's why VR didn't work or AI because, or like those 3D ones where you could do it with glasses, because people can't be bothered. Like you can't do that on a bus. No. You can't do that if your wife's next to you and you want to secretly be playing. It's like, it's not a shared kind of experience.
Yeah.
So skill-based games, people actually prefer to play, in my opinion, skill-based games in real life where they feel like they have control. Like pinball in real life is much better than pinball on a laptop. So I don't think the concept would have worked because unless they brought out something super inventive, I don't think there was enough there for people to go, you know what, I'll play that. Because people that like skill-based games generally don't like gambling that much. So they play FIFA or something. They'll play on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't think the crossover there was very good.
Okay. Isn't it a bit sad that looking at the kind of more popular games in 2023, that they are still real based, the same kind of the same kind of mechanics as slot games have been for the last 200 years.
Yeah, it's either 3 reels or it's a grid. Yeah. So it's either Jam and Jazz Reactoons or Book of Dead, Starburst, something like that. Yeah. It's just, I think if we focus on making that better rather than completely trying to change the way the market's going, it just feels a bit pointless. It's like changing a podcast to be done in a way that no one's ever done it before. It's like, this works. I mean, for you, this works. Yeah. So it's like you wouldn't try and change it. It just feel like people are trying to change it for the sake of saying that they're changing it. Yeah. I think crypto's got a bit of to do with this because everyone's pushing crypto, say, oh, it's a new way people are going to pay. But the general person in the street doesn't understand how it works. So it's never going to really take over unless it's forced, which it is in some black markets. So that's the only reason why it's working. Well,
you did try to start your own cryptocurrency a while ago.
Did I?
Yeah, but didn't you do that? Didn't you launch like the Phil coin or something?
Oh no, that was a joke. There was a website that would let you put your name on a coin. It wasn't actually work anything. It just went off reputation. Yeah. So I just thought for fun I'd do it, and then after doing it, spending 8 minutes making it, I never checked it again.
If you check the wallet, maybe there's like the next Doge on it.
Oh, but you can't cash it out. It was just a random publicity thing based on LinkedIn posts and stuff like that. So I thought I could cheat and make myself famous. Well, and then realize I really didn't want to.
Well, maybe you're a millionaire in Phil coins, but a billionaire.
I'm already a millionaire in Phil coins.
Fair enough. Okay, so recently, just a couple of days ago, LeoVegas, through their ownership of BetMGM, acquired Push Gaming. Mm-hmm. Big move in the industry, of course. Rumored to be €160 million transaction.
Cheap, I thought.
Yeah. What was your reaction then? Like in general, how about Push Gaming lately? How have they been
Push are really
performing?
good.
Yeah.
Like they've kind of stepped into a kind of gap between super heavy volatile and medium. They're like a medium high volatile slot provider. Their bonus buy system's working really well. Their overlays working really well. The games are actually doing really, really well. So their content's very good. I'm surprised they weren't bought a bit sooner. And I mean, I don't know their numbers, but I thought going off what Big Time and No Limit City were bought for, 160 is quite cheap.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the other acquisitions by Evo were significantly higher, right?
Like 500 and 450 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it's along those lines.
Because James is British, so he has to pay a lot more tax. So I think he got it cheaper. But no, the nice touch was the CEO of Push emailed all of us, like everyone that he'd spoken to yesterday, to say nothing's going to change. We're really happy with this.
Yeah.
It's just like a nice touch.
Yeah.
But no, the people at Push have always been very good to work with. So I'm kind of excited to see what they come up with even more backing, because they've always been an independent kind of studio.
Yeah.
But now it's a lot more mainstream. Like they have, if you look at like a Casino Grounds Big Win compilation, like 3 or 4 of the games are normally from Push.
Okay.
So they're becoming super popular.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, big congratulations for sure over to the guys at Push.
We need that picture. Just James with a shed load of money. I'm trying not to swear on this stream.
you can do it. We're not on family TV today. So you imagine him doing like a snowman?
Snowman in a wad of 50s. That would be what I was doing if I was him.
First on the list when White Label Casinos gets acquired.
If he listens to this and he does it and puts a picture, I will. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll find him and congratulate him.
I would like to know, like, if you had 160 million euro in 50 euro notes, and if you filled this studio with that money, how tall do you think it would be?
I mean, I won a poker tournament for 25k in 50s, and it was that big.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna make much of a difference if you put it spread out on the floor, I don't think.
No, I think you probably fill it to a good foot or so off the floor.
Yeah,
160 million. That would be a great room to own.
Yeah. You're still a bit far away from what's it called in English, the rich Donald Duck man. What's it called? Oh my god, I only know the Swedish
Scrooge
name.
McDuck.
Is it Scrooge that is rich? He swims.
Oh yeah, that guy. I know who you mean.
Yeah.
He's like the richest person on that list on YouTube of the richest fake people ever. I think it was him and then Tony Stark.
All right.
So yeah, one of those two.
Fair enough. Okay, maybe one day that will happen.
One of us will make it.
Yes. Okay, so one thing to the other, Phil. Other controversy that you are very intimately involved with yourself is the situation in the Netherlands at the moment. So about a month ago, a little bit more, about 2 months ago, VideoSlots announced that they had been ordered by the KSA to pay a fine of almost 10 million euro. I spoke to VideoSlots yesterday in the podcast, actually, their legal counsel, and they are obviously going through this big dispute now when they are, first of all, going to dispute the fine to the KSA, and then they are willing to go as high up in court as they possibly can in order to dispute this fine. In the same round of fines, White Label Casinos were also mentioned in this round. Can you talk about what happened there and why is the regulator stepping out of bounds?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, VideoSlots are doing the exact same thing we're going to do. So we're very much supportive of them. Our CLO spoke to theirs and they are in some communication. We actually have a hearing with the KSA on the 30th of May about our fine because we're arguing the hell out of it.
Right.
They're basing everything off knowledge that doesn't exist. So they're basing the fine on how many hits a website has on a search engine, to which I could say I can Google a search engine anytime I want. I can Google whatever I want. Doesn't mean I've deposited.
Yeah.
So they seem to think that every click on a website is equatable to about 20 euros or something. To which, if I actually had our stats, I would equate it to a click is worth like 0.8 cents. Okay. Because just because someone clicks on it doesn't mean they're going to sign up and play or deposit. They might just visit. It could be an affiliate. It could be a tracking link. It could be anything. So they're heavily coming after people. And we believe, allegedly, need to put these words in, that they are going to try and heavily monopolize their own market with their own favored in Dutch industry online casinos, and they're trying to kick out people that they don't really agree with. I mean, look at the problems like Kindred had, for example. It's really messy if you're not in the Netherlands. So yeah, they've tried to fine us 4.4 million.
Oh my god!
Which
a lot of ducks.
It's a lot of ducks. I'd have to sell some pop sockets for that one.
Right.
But no, I mean, we're arguing it. We don't take Dutch traffic. We don't allow Dutch people to register. But I can say this: the one thing they used to disprove this was they had an account which they said we can log into this account. So we said you don't have an account, and then they showed us the account ID, and it was an account registered from Luxembourg using an IP that doesn't exist and isn't trackable to the Netherlands. So we replied with, how are we meant to know you're Dutch exactly if you're putting fake information and a fake IP?
Right.
And they said, well, you should be able to know that's the Netherlands. So I don't know how they're ever going to win that argument, but the account it's not even registered anywhere near the Netherlands. So we have no idea what we're meant to do about that.
So the regulator essentially used a VPN to register an account under another ID in Luxembourg.
In Luxembourg. The account's registered in Luxembourg, so we didn't close it down when we closed the Dutch market. Yeah. And then they could still log in. And we're like, well, yes, because it's a Luxembourg account. We're not going to close that market. We've closed the Dutch market.
Right.
So, but they tried. Now they've actually said, no, we can't get into anything. Like, they only had this problem for a couple of months, that they could access a couple of accounts. And one of them, I even said to them in email, I will leave this account open for you so you can check. Yeah. So you can just check what's accessible, what's not. And then doing that was apparently...
That was also against the...
So I was like, I literally told you that's what we're going to do. Yeah. But no, we don't accept the market. If you go there now, you can't click register, you can't access the site, you can't do anything.
I mean, this must be the first time a regulator is handing out a fine based on the usage of a VPN and like a fake identity.
Based on complete guess. At least the UK is kind of solid in the fact they just make up some random numbers, but they base it on something good. Yeah. Like this is just completely speculative and just wildly futurely monopolized, I think.
Right. And it doesn't seem like legally you would be able to hand out a fine just based on using a VPN in it.
No, we'll argue it as much as we can. That's never going to get paid. I don't think they can enforce it anyway. No. But they can try.
But then also it puts you guys, I suppose, in a pretty weird position where I suppose you guys are waiting for a license as long as this court case is open for, I would imagine. Yeah,
so I mean, our plan now is not to even get the license. So to do it, you have to not use any players you've had before. Yeah. So
exactly. You have to start over with a database from zero, basically.
Yeah. So and we can't re-sign up any of those players at all. So that's probably say a quarter of the market gone. It's just not really that much point. Yeah. So we'll just focus on other markets and it's a waste of time. Yeah. They're killing their own industry and pushing it offshore. So.
Yeah, so it seems essentially what they are doing is, as you point out, they are kind of safeguarding the local operators and the online state monopoly. Yeah. And then essentially operators from abroad who are trying to apply for a license, they are just kind of doing whatever they can as a regulator to not allow foreign operators, foreign entities to operate in the market. Just
bad press, bad fines. Yeah. But I mean, they miss a couple. So like they find us, VideoSlots, a couple more. Yeah. But there's like one or two really big ones that still accept Dutch traffic with that you can register on, and they haven't mentioned them at all. Nope. And these are the people who are like 10 times bigger than us. Oh, wow. So I have no idea what's going on there.
And even a big operator like Betsson is still waiting for the license in the Netherlands as well.
That's why he's afraid of everything.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
That dough equates to like a 12 million fine.
It's an analogy for
poor Pontus.
Yes, yeah, I can imagine. I wonder actually. I don't know if Betsson have talked about why they are still waiting for that license. Actually, what is going on there? Is it still the fact that they are going through, what is it called, when they are not allowed to take the Dutch players for a certain amount of time?
Oh, the period of something they called it, I don't know.
Yeah, cooling off period or something.
It could be cooling off period. I think that's what Kindred called it.
Yeah.
So they could well be doing that. But no, I mean, I feel a bit sorry for them at this point. I feel a bit sorry for anyone trying to operate there at the moment because I do think it's all going to get heavily pushed to monopoly. Yeah. But then the EU doesn't allow monopoly, so then you can have fun on the other side of that as kind of going after people claiming it's monopolized, which then gives you free access to go there under a different entity in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Finland.
Like Finland, and I mean, just we're gonna go into Finland in a little bit, but just kind of what almost seems to be happening, especially in Europe and for foreign operators, is that there's like two trends that are shaping in the industry at the moment. With operators, major operators are going like whiter than white, and smaller tier 2 and tier 3 operator are going more towards the kind of gray and black in order to kind of survive and to make a profit. Do you get the sense that this is taking place too, and what do you think this will lead to eventually?
It's been happening for a while. I mean, you see the growth of stake, you see the growth of Curaçao casinos, you see the demise of even white labeling, for example. Like, who was it? Gig, Aspire, Every Matrix. All of these people have stopped white labeling, and Gig sold off their own brands to Betson.
Right.
Another reason to be afraid of the dough. So it's like this has been happening for a long time because it's not as profitable as it used to be. And with the cost of operating, obviously it's become heavily unprofitable in some regions to be, which is why you see Gig now focusing on like casino deals onto online, which for us isn't really a focus, or the affiliate side, the advertising side. It's the actual white label side and operating side is dropping off considerably. I mean, the same happened in the UK when they changed their tax. So many people pulled out. It's happening again, and everyone's trying to go to LATAM, weirdly.
Yeah, that's now the hottest market, right?
It's big, but I mean, if you look at Genesis, it didn't really work well for them.
No?
So, they went bust.
Right, they were Mexico focused, right?
Yeah. But they had another couple of markets. I mean, Betson do well there, but that's because they bought the big local one. So not everyone can go to LATAM. So I do see a heavy reduction in the mid-level tier operators. Level 2. But level 1 will be fine because they have enough money to regulate anywhere.
Yeah.
And the platform clearly can be regulated because they've done it before.
Yeah.
So it just costs so much money to do each different jurisdiction. It's just not worth it. I mean, for us, it wouldn't really be worth it.
And what does this trend mean to you guys at whitelabelcasinos.com when, as you pointed out here earlier, GIG is probably the best example of a business who used to pride themselves with their white label solution. They axed that service within their company because if I understand it correctly, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong here, but you are liable for the actions of the white labels.
Yes.
Which means that you don't always have perfect insight in the activities that goes on within the white labels, which then put you at risk of getting a fine.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Without you having knowledge of
I think you need to pick your clients on this one. I mean, I'm lucky we have some quite good clients. We do have some questionable clients.
Okay.
But for that, we have a good AM team. We issue a lot of releases. We make them sign documents to not screw with us. But for us, I would say I kind of decided to work in the middle ground of both. So to stay regulated, we're also a little bit grey with like Curaçao, but to do it in a way that is not like we're not going to the levels of Asia. We're not going to the levels of UK, great like super black markets or anything like that. We're going to be focusing on the about to be regulated or the okay with having Curaçao or MGA regulation markets, because there aren't that many people that can profit there, but because everyone else left, we have a nice kind of niche that we operate in, and we're still growing now. I mean, MJ is declining a bit, but Curaçao's growing.
Right.
So it's working okay. I think just stick with it and hope it works out all right is a good plan.
Exactly. I mean, again, you have to give credit to you, Phil, the fact that
we're brave.
Everyone else is kind of abandoning the white label solutions, and you are just
it's just me with a bucket.
And you are just breaking out the company in two and literally calling it whitelabelcasinos.com as the only kind of solution you do at the company.
If we get
are you profitable? Like
yeah, we're profitable. I mean, if we were owned by shareholders, they would be very happy.
Yeah.
So we are profitable. We don't operate off any investment. It's all cash, all self-invested as well, and we do pretty well. I mean, it's not like we're stood there with a bucket. We're just trying to work out which way to sail.
Yeah.
But the boat works. It's just we need to keep recycling enough clients because we haven't really lost any clients yet, but we're going to lose one soon who's got their own license because they want to go their own way. absolutely fine. But I don't see any future problems unless more markets start to follow the Dutch way of doing it or the UK way of doing it with a new white paper. It's just going to be too difficult, and then everyone goes grey, and then you just enter a massive pain period. Then we probably just start running our own casinos instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Being honest.
So I mean, to run this type of operation, you would basically, like on the compliance side and making sure that these subsidiaries, if you will, are doing what they're supposed to do. That must be like a super difficult task.
I mean, everything, it's not that difficult. I mean, we have a good compliance team, but also we have a good legal setup. We have like really good finance guys. I mean, all the heads of department we have work really well. They kind of also know what we're doing. So we speak a lot. I don't believe in like one-to-ones. I believe in continuous discussion. So I think we all know where we're going, and operating in the markets we're in is fine unless the Dutch get involved and want to mess with us. But I think once we put that behind us, I don't see a decline in what we're doing. I just see it being more difficult to get new clients in, say, a year or two's time. Yeah. Because they're going to want to go with, we want to do UK, we want to do Sweden, Finland, whatever the markets may be, Germany. So I think that's when a new type of white label will come up, which would be pure white labeling, but that's going to be super expensive. Yeah, because it's going to cost so much for the licenses. Yeah. So that could be something that comes around in, say, a year or two, once enough countries follow it. Right. Or in a dream world, if the EU decides to just license themselves. Yeah, but that's not going to happen. No. I might run for EU office to make this happen. I like it, Phil. Phil from Wrexham. Pontus will love me. Yes. From Wrexham. Me and Ryan and Reynolds doing it for the world. Exactly. Phil Pearson, I will fix your European Union. You're coming from the outside of you. No, just gaming. Just gaming. We're not going to touch the rest of whatever they're messing up. Fair enough. Unlike the UK, who's doing great. Yeah, they're having a great time. That's why I moved. Have you seen that meme with the dog that sits with a coffee mug and it's all fire everywhere, and he's drinking his coffee around the fire, and he says, "This is fine." That's kind of what's happening in the UK right now. Yeah, we all think it's fine over there. I mean, I don't think they pay much attention. So who knows? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They get bailed out by the government or something. Money doesn't exist on those scales. No. It's like if you need to put 10 trillion into something, they'll just invent it. Right. It's not going to work. That's why Philcoin is the next big thing, because you can't just create Philcoins. You need to help me market this. Yeah, exactly. We'll sponsor like iGaming Idol with Philcoin. Yes. Everyone gets a Philcoin. Yeah, get a trophy and a Philcoin. Yes, there you go. Okay, you mentioned Finland earlier. Oh yeah. Also another controversial. You faced a bit controversy in that market as last week recently, right? So what happened? What happened there exactly? The Finnish police issued reminders to people that the Finnish market is regulated. You shouldn't be there. However, according to the EU and Malta, you can be there because it's a monopoly and it's unlawful. So we're there in a sense. We don't push it heavily, but we're there if people want to play. And then on the same day, a different Finnish police report issued the fact that some companies in gaming are targeting minors using social media influencers, so direct casino to minors on social media and on YouTube and stuff like that. And then this news report came out and connected both of them. So they said that we were targeting minors, which we can categorically deny, by the way. It's like, we don't even have our own casino. Like, how would this be possible? And we're targeting minors. We're using social media, Instagram and TikTok accounts. And I'm like, are we? So we had a check. Shockingly, we're not. So we're issuing them with a libel threat to get it taken down. I spoke to Sonia from your team about something similar because they picked it up. Right. But yeah, no, for me, that was just like a fun problem in a month of other problems. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just the Finnish are fine. Until they regulate, nothing's really going to change. But I would say that if you're going to do some marketing or journalism on it, to probably check the facts so you don't get sued. Right. Would be the best advice I can give. It's not been good. Oh, that's for sure. I have to be careful, absolutely.
But what are your expectations on the Finnish regulation? There were some more details that were released recently, right? And it seems to be fairly sensible what they're talking about so far.
Sensible, but again, the Dutch were going to be sensible. And
Right.
then the day before they were going to change things, the politicians took over and just launched it within a day.
Yeah.
So from what we can see, it looks promising, but I'm not going to hold my breath on anything until it actually gets released because, I mean, the UK was sensible back in the day, and now they've crucified that. So we'll just wait and see what happens, I think, is the best bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or take a risk.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be risk averse right now.
Yeah. Is that like if you would summarize your job into an analogy, it would be that you're a firefighter?
Firefighter/risk management.
Yes.
So we'll take some, but not all.
Okay.
No, I don't think firefighting. I would say just dexterity. You have to be able to do a lot of different things at the same time.
Yeah.
Not well, but averagely.
Yeah, exactly.
Average everything.
Taking quick decisions, I think that's the summary of being a CEO.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so then the final point in our little trip around Europe here at the moment is, of course, the fact that the UK is currently discussing their re-regulation here, and the white paper was finally announced a couple of days ago by the time of this recording. And, you know, something I find a bit interesting is that the response to the white paper from the iGaming industry was like a sigh of relief. And looking at the share prices of Flutter and Entame, for example, share price actually went up on the release of the white paper. And I think just an observation here as an industry person is the fact that we are used to, as an industry, to be beaten down in the last couple of years, regulatory-wise. That anytime news comes out that doesn't like beat us to the ground, it's like we are like thankful, basically. And that was like the reaction from the industry, I think, when the white paper came, that, it could have been so much worse, but at least it wasn't that bad. So like, we should be happy.
We're like super optimistic people in a marriage. As long as she doesn't kill you, it doesn't matter what they can get away with.
Exactly. So pretty much like that. Our expectations are like below the bottom, essentially.
We have pretty low expectations. It's not that good a report, though, for gaming. I don't see why everyone was so thrilled. Like land-based,
that was
absolutely
positive.
Really good.
Yeah.
Like that'll help grow jobs. Super supportive of that. Like even when they tried to do the super casinos back in 2004, 2005 or something, with that guy from Blackpool who then tried to buy his way into something recently or take a bribe or something.
Right.
Politicians are fun. But no, online, it's like I see why Flutter might have gone up on those people because they have a huge existing play database. And this white paper makes it harder to get players and to kind of quantify them and take them through the journey of KYC, source of wealth, funding under the age of 21 or whatever their plan is for £2 spins.
Right.
Been away from the UK for so long. I think it would be tricky to enter the market now. And I also don't see this working out super well, but I'm glad they put something in. But again, it's quite vague. They don't have a system in place. They don't have a specific way they want to do it. They just give the ideas of what they want to set up. If they actually, as I said on LinkedIn, if they actually build the system themselves and make people use it, they could charge for that, make a fortune for gambling support groups and stuff. Because it's like Jumio, for example, costs like £2 on average to run a player through it and verify everything. If they could do that themselves, every player needs to go through it. They can do that on sign up. Right. And then the player can play anywhere and is automatically approved for certain levels.
Is there other examples of these type of systems today?
Oh, there's a load. Some sub, Jumio, if you go to ICE and walk around, there's like 50. I don't know the names off the top of my head.
But I mean, the other jurisdictions where kind of like one solution like this is unified between.
I wish there was. No, like MGA say you have to have a solution. Doesn't say which.
Doesn't matter which one.
So they basically let kind of people compete for that work, like tendering in a way. But if the government actually decided to do it themselves, then you eliminate all the possibilities of this going wrong, and they look after the whole process. I don't see why they wouldn't think of doing it that way, because they actually have the system for doing it, because they already do that with taxes. Yeah. So they could just slightly edit that and be able to do it.
So does this affordability checks? So it's from £125. This affordability check that happens in the background. mentioned previously that like this creates a lot of friction for the operators, so they have to do this en masse essentially.
Yeah.
Is it so there isn't really any straightforward solutions to that today?
Not on that scale, I don't think. I think there'll be something you could integrate which would allow you to do it, but it depends on what they want you to check, because some things have to be done manually, some things can be automated, like passport can be automated, passport and a selfie, but you can fake Melita Wi-Fi bill that you get in the post quite easily, probably.
Yeah.
So that needs to be manually checked with the address and everything. I don't see how it would be super easy to do, but I mean, I hope they find a way of doing it, because otherwise it's going to really slow down people signing up at sites.
Right.
And £125, in the UK, I think the average player was about 300 last time I checked. It was a while ago, though. So that's not even, it's about a third of the value of what the player would actually deposit on average. So you're going to isolate a large amount of people who would play for more if this system takes a long time to do.
Yeah.
Because what they're going to do, go and sign up somewhere else, do 125 there, 125 there.
And just move.
And if you're paying an affiliate £200 per sign up,
Yes.
each casino loses £75.
It's a problem.
No, more, like 175 quid.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Is there anything positive to draw from the white paper that were released?
It's good for land-based casinos.
Good for land-based.
No, I mean, capping spins for a certain source of wealth, like amount of money people have. Like if you have £10 to your name, I wouldn't want you to bet £10 spin. But if you wanted to bet 1p, 2p or something, then sure. I don't see that as an issue, but I don't like the idea that they cap it for everyone. So if you have the duck come into play, he's got billions, he's going to want to play at high stakes. So you need to be able to allow for that. Otherwise, you're going to push him to...
Push the black market.
Yeah. So you need to stop the black market while looking after the white market.
Yeah.
But I don't think they think of it in this way.
No, it's just a blanket statement. It's
like,
we're going
to look after our own people in our country. But are you, though? Or are you profiting off tax?
Yeah, it's a interesting point. But at least I suppose that if you want to draw something positive from this, is that at least the white paper is now out.
True.
And there is
now they can refine it.
Clarity, right?
Yeah.
And now operators can at least look at this and start adjusting for the actual execution and the implementation of the new kind of re-regulation.
True. They haven't changed the licensing structure. They haven't changed too much about how to be in the market. They haven't removed casino games or anything like that. So it's positive in that way, but I mean, we have to wait and see.
Yeah. And I read a story today as well that it's going to take time before the re-regulation comes into place, and it's most likely going to be in the years.
Yep.
So, obviously the white paper in itself took a lot of time to be released, and it came with a lot of delays. And now the expectation is then that the actual re-regulation will take even longer, let's say.
That's the problem with these people. Like, these people they don't report to anyone. They report to the general public, but we can't go and get them fired. Like, how? You just don't vote for them. But that's every 4 years. What are you going to do? But it took them, 2.5 years, 3 years to write this document, which is vague as shit.
Okay.
The limit will be between 2 and 15. We will introduce possibly an 80-20 split. It's just full of these words which just could be changed. So really all they've done is change 11 words from the last one, but just make it sound better for land-based casinos. That's all they've done in 2.5 years.
Right. It's like the Bible. It's very vague.
Yeah,
it's the Bible of iGaming.
It's so vague. It's like the MGA one. You need to have a system in place for this. What system? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You need to be able to prove that you have checked these players. Check them for what? Don't know. So we do it like RG checks you can do manually. But as long as you can show that you've done it manually, you're fine. You can run it through a system. As long as you can show that, you're okay. So it doesn't matter what you do. It just matters that you do it.
Right.
And that's what they're now coming up with. They're following this super vague, lax approach so that they can give themselves space to change it around if enough lobbyists come in and want to change it around.
Yeah. We talked earlier about this kind of two opposing forces that are growing in industry right now, white versus black. Mm-hmm. And looking at the US markets, it's more and more turning out to become a duopoly, actually, not even an oligopoly, with Flutter gaining market share aggressively. Under Flutter, there's DraftKings, who also has a considerable amount of market share. And combined, they now own something like 75% of the US market is 2 operators. And if you take the 4 biggest operators, you throw in BetMGM and Caesars, then you are getting closer to like 90% at this point. So that market is obviously extremely challenging for the kind of tier 2 operators, let's say. Looking at like UK specifically, but perhaps also Europe in general, it seems also that we are seeing that trend emerging in Europe as well, where, go back 10 years and you have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of operators with all relevant liquidity and GGR. Whereas now, Flutter released their quarterly report yesterday, and they are showing significant growth, not only in the US, but also in Europe as well. Mm-hmm. Do you think as we go forward that we'll start seeing like a similar trend appearing in Europe too, in the regulated markets, where it's going to be more and more dominated by these like, say, 2, 3, 4 massive operators?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the US example, like DraftKings, FanDuel, the ones you've mentioned, are such a big amount that also the people in the US market in the past never really gambled offshore. Like everything stopped in 2008 with what they went through there. This was mainly around poker. Like the US, as a standard, gamble more on sports. Like I think we've said this before about the whole sports market there is totally different to what it is over here, because you can bet on each individual action in a game. You can do so much, whereas here you can't. So they're more primary focused around sports betting, which leads into more skill-based gaming like poker. But casino-wise, I think Europe is much more popular for the online side. I think in America they prefer the social aspect. Like if you go to a casino in Malta, you go to Casino Malta or any of the other available ones, you sit there, you don't speak to anybody. You have a big win, nobody cares. You go to America, you have 11,000 people stood behind you cheering you on, throwing drinks in the air. It's weird. It's like a different culture. So I think in Europe you will see it, but I think it will be more through M&A, probably, I would guess.
Yeah,
because that's never stopping.
No, and more it's becoming difficult for say tier 2 operators to find profitability in these markets, and the major operators just have much deeper pockets and the ability to stay compliant in these like challenging markets and kind of live on these like razor thin margins and so on.
No, I mean like Casumo back in the day, they were big in the UK. So like 2012, 14, they were huge. Now they're not there anymore. They're now a lot smaller. Yeah. They're pulling out of even markets in Europe now. Yeah. So it's all heavily being biased towards tier 1 and tier 4. Yeah. The middle gap is the problem.
Right. So when you say tier 4, it would be like the smaller operators who are focusing on like a single market.
Yeah, single market, or we're only going to take crypto and we're only going to offer 500 games, but we're going to give really good cash back, that kind of thing. Like 3 people in an office, and then they just grow to be massive.
Right. So simplify operation, like just minimize expenses and able to find profitability just through being very lean as an operation, basically.
Yeah, we have one casino that's run by 2 people,
right.
Which is impressive. I mean, we do the kind of the ops work, we do CS and payments and everything, but they have 2 people on their side, and they make, I mean, I'm not going to say who, but they make probably just coming up to 6 figures a month just between 2 people.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And they're not that big.
Just being kind of like they run almost like an affiliation operation, but they just kind of route players to that specific operator that they own.
They have a couple of affiliate sites themselves. It's a great sales pitch. This, if you own an affiliate site, they send their own traffic to their own casino.
Right, makes sense.
They save 60-70% of fees.
Yeah,
it's not that hard to run a casino.
Yeah,
you just need to come up with some good bonuses and know how to send an email. That's pretty much it.
Right. Is that also the pitch, like in white label casinos? Do you pitch to affiliates to start their own operations?
Yes,
because that seems to be where the value lies for.
It's great value for affiliates. Yeah. The only thing is it's more risky for them. So as an affiliate, they don't really have any cost, and they get to live in their penthouses in Slima with their pools without any risk. Right. If you have a casino and someone wins 500k, you have to pay that out. But again, you can control that with cash out limits. You can control that however you want. I just don't think they think it's as easy to do as it is.
Yeah. Okay.
So that would be what I would do if I was an affiliate.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, the tier 2 and tier 3 operators are the ones that will start struggling more and more. I mean, I hear, obviously we've seen in the last year a lot of the kind of tier 2 operators that used to be very successful, Casumo, for example, Hero Gaming, another example, that have cut staff heavily in order to find profitability again.
Yeah.
But it's just very difficult. But like many of those operators just have to seek themselves into the kind of gray markets in order to sustain their operations and find profitability and find margins, essentially.
It's even like DraftKings are showing, though. Like, you can be hugely loss-making, but have a shed load of traffic.
Yes.
And then in the end, the industry and the world is just backing the fact that you'll make it profitable. They don't ever have to make it profitable. But Casumo, privately owned, has to make it profitable. Otherwise, how are they going to pay the staff? Yeah. They don't have this money coming in. So I think by being publicly owned and listed, you have a big advantage over, say, us trying to do it with our 25 euros.
You know what I found really interesting that I learned this time around with organizing iGaming New York? You know, when we look at the conference landscape here in Europe or anywhere else in the world, it is often the affiliates that are kind of the most wanted people to host at the conference, because if the affiliates are there, then the operators get desperate to meet and treat the affiliates, right? That's always been the case. It's like the affiliates are in the top of the pyramid, and the operators are spending a lot of money in order to please the affiliates. In the US, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Did you know that? I learned that this year. The fact that we had many affiliates in iGaming New York who actually paid for their tickets, which has never in the history of any iGaming conference happened before.
No, I thought you gave all your tickets away for free.
to affiliates.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting, actually, that over in that side of the pond, the kind of roles are reversed.
I think
the
age of the market, surely, because like over here, it's been legalized in a way for so long that the most important thing is getting traffic. In the US, the most important thing is having a casino to send that traffic to, because there aren't that many.
There aren't that many, no.
So I think, especially with it being, because anything over there is big news. It's on Fox, it's on CNN, it's everywhere. Like you had, who was that guy that said, he had that...
CNBC,
that guy.
Tessa Brewer, and the CEO of BetMGM, Adam Greenblatt.
Mm-hmm. That's him.
And FW, so don't say
that. About betting on WWE.
Yeah.
So that's big news there. Here, news don't care. They don't pick it up. It's not important. We're all struggling, we as operators are struggling to find players and be able to get players through the restrictions that we have. In the US, they've just legalized any way at all of getting players. So it's up to the affiliates to find the casinos in that way, whereas over here, we're struggling to find affiliates that can either follow the laws or bypass them legally.
Right.
It's tricky. Like Facebook banned marketing, but there's people out there that can do Facebook marketing.
Yeah.
So it's it's a very different landscape. Yeah. I think. Plus here we've all started working on social casinos now. No clue why.
In Europe?
Yeah, like all those.
Oh, you mean like Beyond Play and Live Spins and those?
Oh no, like actual social ones where it's
it's play money and
like that is so popular now. Like at ICE, we had a meeting with say 5 different social casinos wanting to look at real money. And then they looked at the numbers and said, it's probably not worth it. We'll just stay with social. And I was like, how are you making more than we are?
Yeah, people are
buy
playing
chips.
and they play money chips and they pay for it.
But they don't cash out.
They don't cash out. No.
It baffles me.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, right? It's an interesting phenomenon. In the US, the social casino is huge, of course, because then no regulation in connection with this, and you can run it, nationwide.
Yeah, like we have a part-time marketing guy called Mark, who's genius. He's created a one-time integration to integrate all demo slots onto a site, onto a social casino or a test site or something.
Yeah,
and he sells that integration monthly for quite cheap. He has a waiting list that is crazy for that integration, just for fake games.
Right.
So if you want him, his name's Mark.
Yeah.
I don't get any money; it's just his. But he does that through his company, and it's just the list of people waiting for that API is huge. Just fake games.
It's amazing, right?
We're in the wrong industry. Well, we're in the right industry, just in the wrong part of it.
For sure, yeah. Another phenomenon in the US is the sweepstakes as well, of course.
Oh.
It's also a way to essentially get around regulation in order to offer actual real money casino play which is operating under the sweepstakes laws then essentially. And sweepstakes is interesting. Like the history of sweepstakes is quite interesting actually, because sweepstakes was basically the purpose of sweepstakes is for entities to offer kind of lotteries without any form of requirements back. That's how it should be. Like in a sweepstake, anyone should be able to enter the sweepstake. Anyone should be able to win at a sweepstake, but the law prohibits that you should be able that you can get an advantage by paying your way into the sweepstake or having to provide any form of detail. But people are very clever, and lawyers are very good at looking into the fine print of these laws in order to figure out a very, very specific way to kind of hack these laws in order to get around them, to actually get people to gamble with money under the laws of sweepstakes. But it's like a very, very particular way that they have to conduct these transactions in a very particular way. And if you do a very small miscalculation in how you conduct this operation, you will essentially get buried in fines that will come from this.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if you remember, so as a sweepstake, if you remember, like the purpose of sweepstakes, if you remember back in the day, you would buy like a bottle of Coke, and on the Coke you could win prizes.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't a lottery as such.
Like McDonald's Monopoly, where you buy a Big Mac and there's a ticket, and if you get Park Lane, you win like £1 million or something. Exactly.
Yeah. So like on the Coke, for example, then it would be like, oh, you can win, a trip to the other side of the world, or you can win an iPad, or you can win this, and that, and there would be millions in prizes. And you just have to go to this website and and put the code that you have on the bottle, basically. So they entice you to buy the bottle so that you get the code that you can then input on the website. But for this to be a legal sweepstake, you also have to be able to enter that competition without having to buy the Coke.
Send your name and address to this address.
Yeah, exactly. So what they do then is you on the bottle it will also say like, go to this website for more information, and then it can say, oh, if you want to enter this competition, you have to. They make it difficult then, right? So they will ask you write a manual letter and post it to this particular address. And then you will get one ticket back, essentially, something like that. But that would be a typical sweepstake, essentially. That's like under the sweepstake kind of jurisdiction. Then so it's a way then basically to host these lotteries without selling lottery tickets, basically. Clever. But then someone figured out how to actually then force people in a way to play online in these sweepstake casinos. With its law still being valid. It's very interesting how clever people are in this industry sometimes.
Baffled. We do a sweepstake in the office for Eurovision, but everybody pays €5 and they get a random country. That's as far as we go.
Yeah. Which country do you get?
I haven't got it yet, but as long as I don't get Malta, I'm fine.
Yeah. That's not gonna be a.
Sweden's always best.
Yeah. I mean, that we are born and raised as Eurovision. This is how we are.
It's like life goals for Swedes.
Yeah, exactly.
We get Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Exactly.
Go to Eurovision.
Exactly. We got taught in school how to optimize our chances to win the Eurovision.
Love it.
This is part of the curriculum. Yes. I mentioned the conferences here earlier as well. We are hosting, obviously, iGaming Expo in middle of June. The week before is Sigma Latam. 2 weeks after is the Amsterdam conference. End of May, in a couple of weeks, there's another Malta conference. There are a lot of conferences scheduled here now in the next coming weeks and months.
I'm going on holiday.
You're going on holiday?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, which ones are you going to?
No, because I'm going on holiday.
Yeah.
No, I'm sad I'm not at yours. I was speaking. I was doing all kinds of things with you, but then I forgot that you'd moved it.
Yeah.
From your normal spot.
Right.
So booked a 3-week holiday, which I can't cancel. That I would have gone to. The other Malta one. I don't see any value in it. in a nice way, so I don't really go.
Right.
My favorite one of all of them is Amsterdam, because that's where we've historically got the most clients, because it is more affiliate focused.
Right.
But at the moment, we're not going to Amsterdam because of the obvious current fine with the KSA.
All right.
So we have postponed with Clarion our booth to next year. So we're not going to attend, which is sad because it's such a good conference. It's very well run.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, our actual conference turnout for the next 3 months is 0.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so do you see, so I'm asking for a friend, do you see the conference landscape with all the million conferences now as sustainable?
No.
Which one has to go?
Which one?
Or which ones?
I mean, there's 3 or 4 big ones which generally will never get moved. So that being ICE, IGB, Sigma, and probably Barcelona now.
Yeah.
The one in Asia they won't move because it's a huge tax write-off, I guess, but also nobody went to it. The last twice I was there, so we're not going to that again. You do need one in Asia. But I'd say all these smaller ones, they're all focused around individual markets. So without going and being in the markets, it's really difficult to know.
Yeah.
But I just don't see how there's that much value in them.
Yeah.
Because all you see is them either getting smaller or rebranding or changing, or there being a new one in place of the old one. I think it's just a way for event companies to make money now, maybe, and stand building companies, because they charge a fortune.
Oh my God, you should see in the US. It's like, oh my God, the difference between organizing an event in Europe to the US is just, I mean, night and day. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this before here, but so we organize New York and we organize Valletta.
Mm-hmm.
And when we committed to organize the New York event the first time, we have our preliminary budget. This is how much things approximately going to cost. Okay, it's the US, so let's just bump up the prices because everything is more expensive. Yeah, and in Manhattan, so everything's going to be more expensive. And then we went out to look for quotes for the branding partner, the person who, the company that builds the booths, the branding in the event, so on and so forth. And it was like a cat walked over a numerical keyboard and just put a magical number, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And we are like, okay, this supplier is just fucking with us basically. So okay, we checked another one, and it turned out the quotes were similar, and so we ended up hiring one of the most expensive stand builders in the UK. The main supplier of ice, it's serious.
Shipping them over and it's cheaper.
And then we shipped it over.
Wow.
Yeah, they created this in their workshop in London, shipped everything over, flew 8 people to New York, who then slept there, did nothing for 4 days just to set up and then dismantle, shipped everything back, and it still turned out to be half the price.
Wow. Goes to show. The UK is not that bad.
As an example, just to put things in perspective, we also looked for quotes for caterers this year because we want to offer lunch and breakfast to the delegates in the US, and
$50 a head.
Oh my God, that you don't even
per meal.
They don't even lift the phone if you get that. But
wow.
we got quoted $400
per head
per person for breakfast and lunch for 2 days.
Well, so $100 a head per meal.
Yeah,
we're definitely in the wrong industry. But you go to
that's
New
what
York.
we said too. We should become caterers in the US.
But you go to New York though, and you go for, I mean, I'm not counting going for a pizza, but when I was there, we went for a steak. I was there with a vegan. So the vegan got, it's a true story, the vegan got a Caesar salad, but she said, I'm vegan, can you remove the cheese and the sauce if it's vegan? Yeah. So they did. It came back, it was only lettuce. They removed everything because the bread was made with egg. There was no egg, no nothing in it. It was a bowl of lettuce, $33.
Yeah, exactly.
I looked at them and I just went, what? And the minimum tip's 2,000% now.
That's another thing with, there's a concept called Moloch. And Moloch is a concept.
Oh, this is what Lindh keeps talking about.
Yeah, Lindh talked exactly. She talked about Moloch in the social media world, right? Where it's like a part of game theory that says that if you have a couple of different parties in in a certain situation, the best outcome for all the parties are not the most likely outcome. And sometimes the worst outcome is the most likely outcome. So Liv, she talks about the fact that in social media, someone at some point started using filters in order to look prettier. And so kind of the influencers who did that had an advantage against all the other influencers. But then at some point, everyone just started using the filters, and then it became diminishing returns. So it was a zero-sum game. So then everyone was back to their status quo, but the only difference was the fact that now everyone is using these fake filters, essentially. Like that is like Moloch. It's like a negative free roll or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I need that now for my burnt nose that I got from the weekend.
Don't worry, we have good filters here.
Thanks, guys.
And so in the US, another example of a Moloch is the tipping culture in the US, which is like totally out of control.
It's insane.
It's insane. And so the thing is that if you operate a restaurant now, you recognize as an owner that the tipping culture is out of control, but you can't put limits on your tipping exercise in this restaurant because then no one will work for you.
Yeah.
And that's just the problem, and that's why it's escalating without anyone being able to actually control it. It just gets worse and worse and worse because there's so little available workforce. Everyone is at full capacity in the US now. So in order to be an attractive employer as a restaurant, for example, you have to offer this like attractive tipping package that everyone else does.
It's just so high. I mean, we were there in, last year in New York, and the first time we had dinner, the card machine was, do you want a tip? It wasn't yes or no.
Yeah.
It was 22, 25, 30, or 50%.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a $700 meal for 6 people. I was like, yeah. So normally multi would be like maybe 800 if it was good. Yeah. No, there it was like the minimum cost was like 1,000, but there was a little button at the side which said enter your own tip.
Yeah.
But you just
and
feel,
then you feel
really,
ashamed.
I was like, oh.
Then you feel ashamed.
Yeah. But then in Vegas, before we were coming back, I bought a vape from a shop. I just literally walked in and said, can I take that, please? Because I broke mine. They said, there you go. Gave me the card machine. I could tip on the card machine. I'm like, you've just given me a product.
Yeah. And for that,
you didn't have to get up.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you went to another shop and got it, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But no, the minimum on that one was 30%. Or I could press no, so I just pressed no. I was like, screw you.
And then he like look a bit mean at you.
No, it was a younger, I want to say Mexican looking girl. Yeah. I mean, it was Vegas, so I guess it's probably more kind of LATAM focused people there.
Yeah.
But no, she didn't look sad. She just looked bored.
Yeah.
She was just like, I get paid for this.
Yeah, whatever.
I make tips.
Yeah.
Of selling vapes. I'm going to start charging you tips for turning up here, I think.
Maybe we should pay Gian tip in the background here in the studio.
He'll come on the earpiece now and start moaning at us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 1.5 hours in, and I don't know how much tip that translates to, but I hope we can afford it.
€10.
Yeah, that sounds more reasonable. Okay, we're going to start rounding off here in a little bit. But another really interesting push that you started this year is for the MSPCA, a charity push, Phil, that you had a very ambitious target of raising €100,000 for the charity, the animal shelter here in Malta, MSPCA. And can you talk a little bit more about this push? How is it going so far?
It's going good. So, I mean, it started last year for my birthday. Instead of asking people at work, because, at work, everyone throws in some money and then they get you a present. I thought, I don't want a present. So put everything into a pot and then we'll donate it to the MSPCA. So I thought, instead of just limiting that to work, why not go to LinkedIn, where people have too much money sometimes, try and get people there to give money. And we raised about just over 5K, I think 5.5, which wasn't bad. So gave that. They were really happy. I spoke to them a lot. My partner's godmother actually runs it, so easy to be able to speak to.
Okay.
And they said that these are the plans that they have for it. They want to build a new shelter. They want to offer daycare so that they can run a profit and then use that to reinvest back into food if they're running short, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I asked how much they were looking for. They went somewhere between 90 and 100,000. So I thought, literally over Christmas, let's try and do it. I mean, I didn't realize how difficult it would be, but
It's only 100K. I mean,
it's only 100K.
Yeah.
It's nothing. So we started with just general fundraising in January, February. Then at ICE, we charged people to have extra goes at the target wall to win a trip to Egypt, which I think we raised just 1.5K doing that. Did the raffle last month, which went really well. We've given out nearly all of the prizes apart from 3, and that's just because he lives in a stupid place and we're going to have to ship them, which White Label Casinos is paying for, by the way. That's our contribution along with a €1,000 voucher. So we're now at 25K for the year so far.
That's fantastic. You're tracking to hit the target.
It depends what happens with a couple of the other plans we have, but if it comes to fruition, then yeah, I'd hope we get pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, the low end target for me has always been 75, but 100 is the dream.
Yeah.
6 figures.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it without offering anything back. So I'm trying to do it literally just as a charitable thing without pushing our company or doing big checks or things like that. I just want to do it for the sake of nobody really does it, and I feel like we should.
Yeah, there isn't that much charity contributions that are taking place in the industry right now.
No, I mean, some people do occasional beach cleanups, but they do it to then put the pictures all over social media. It's like we do it. I do it. I don't mention us in most of the posts. I don't put pictures of the dogs with us in the background. It's just help me do this, please, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty please.
Some interesting things then is, so we picked up on this, of course, and through iGaming Idol, our charity, our award show that's taking place in October, we always we select one charity every year, and some of the proceeds of the table bookings, they go to this charity. The charity itself gets an opportunity to go on stage and to talk about the charity for the audience and so on and so forth. And so we decided to support this charity initiative this year, of course. Together, this is obviously a fantastic initiative that pulls the industry together a bit, and we can do something nice as an entity. And as you point out, it's not really about promoting anyone or to get this like second, kind of secondary promotion to your brand or whatnot. It's just a great initiative. So we are very excited to support this initiative too.
I'm very excited to be there. It's going to be fun. No, I mean, it's really cool that you offered to do that. I mean, thank you so much for obviously you and your team, Gabby and everyone getting involved. It's going to be really good, especially because it's going to be, I think you're tracking to have it the biggest one that you've ever had.
Yep.
Again, I'm going to turn this into hype man for iGaming next time. I'm not going to Valletta, so
Phil Pearson supporting award shows. Who would have thought that 2 years ago?
One award show, only because I won one and I didn't pay for it. So
right.
I didn't sponsor you that year. But no, I mean it's going to have what 600-700 people there.
Yep.
It's back finally near to my house. The Intercontinental.
That's a big part of why you support it.
I mean,
it's the closest award show to your house.
It's
basically
the closest award show to my house. I live in Sweden. It's like really close.
Right.
But no, it's like the one at that Tombs under the MCC was good, but it was just a nightmare to walk all the way down it. It's just like that.
It was the best workout you got in all year, I think.
Yeah. So much fun. Lifting up an award, not saying anything, going back to your table.
Right.
Talking to Ocean, yeah.
Oh my God, he got drunk that night. Ocean, our host.
He doesn't remember speaking to me.
No, he almost didn't turn up the next day for the conference. Yeah. Our host, the second year. Oh my God, we thought we were gonna panic that day. Yeah, but we forgave Ocean. It's water under the bridge, and he's gonna host iGaming Next this year again.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah. How can you not love Ocean?
When he remembers that he's spoken to.
Right.
So no, like doing it at the Intercontinental is going to be great. Like having the MSPCA there is going to be great. I think with the amount of people going, we can raise a considerable sum. We are looking into a couple of other things that we can maybe do. Yeah. So
yeah, it's going to be great.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
So for those who are still listening to us here, the
2 hours later,
the 3 people that are still here with us today, how do you donate? How do you contribute to this charity? Where do you go?
Difficultly. You can either do it direct through the MSPCA, but then it won't show up as part of what we're doing as a community. But if you go to my LinkedIn, my Skype, anything I have socially, the top link, the pinned comment, the top post, it'll always be something to do with the charity. So just go to Just Giving and donate through there. Or if we host a raffle, I will post those links everywhere if we do another raffle. or something like that. I'm trying to do like one raffle for one big prize coming up. To win like a trip to, I don't know, New York to have a buffet for $4,000 or something.
Exactly, or a dinner with Phil.
A dinner with me somewhere. That's not much of a prize. And then, so like do it so that people buy a ticket to win one big item, not 19 small items. Because the problem is we have to ship 19 small items.
Right.
And it's not the most fun to organize. FedEx coming to your office saying, you can't ship electronics to this country. And we're like, no, it's a suitcase. It's just packaged badly.
Fair enough. It's just a duck.
It's a duck in a box that says PlayStation 5. I mean, what do you want me to do with it?
Exactly.
We have broken some air traffic laws in the past month, I think.
Well,
sorry, FedEx.
We are creative in this industry.
Yeah,
after all.
We create jobs.
All right, so fantastic. In other words, Phil, I mean, this initiative is obviously speaks volumes of your own way of conducting yourself and spending your time and what you choose to focus on and so on. So you should have all the credits in the world for this.
Oh, it's nice to look after people that don't really get a look in. Like iGaming companies are big into, we'll plant some trees, we'll donate to these people, where it's not local. Doesn't make a difference to the island. It doesn't make a difference to the way of life. Like if there was ever a charity in Malta that fixed potholes in roads, number one, I would be donating to that company. That would be it. It's like a war zone out there. We should start that.
That would be one, yeah.
That'd be a great one. We'll just buy some cement and wander around every time we get a donation.
So I heard actually weirdly random facts around why the roads are so bad in Malta is because in other countries, in the UK, Sweden, elsewhere, the way you build a road, there's like 7 layers of.
Yeah, you have loose rubble and then smaller rubble, and you fill it with gravel and then you paste on top.
Yeah, and it's like this construction under the road basically gives the road sustainability for a long time and whatever.
Malta, they just put cement
in Malta,
on grass.
They just put the gravel and they put the road on top.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why you see the potholes.
But then they spend 230 million fixing a roundabout by airport.
Yeah.
So, hey, if it doesn't fall down.
Yeah. Well,
just go to Swee once and just look at the roads in Swee.
Yeah. Well, we love Malta.
We do. I have a hunchback now from going over the bumps now.
Okay. Finally, Phil, to round off today, what's next in general for Phil Pearson and White Label Casinos? What's the focus at the moment, and what are your ambitions in general? When we do this in a year's time,
just come back to it.
Yeah.
What have we got coming up? Well, I mean, aside from raising money with you and ignoring most of the gaming shows for the next couple of months, we are going to be launching a 3rd license so we can take on more clients under different licenses to provide a bit more risk management. We're heavily evaluating the benefits of the MGA license at the moment, because if everywhere else regulates, what's the point of it? Because there's not really that many people playing in Malta. Just more it's more reactive than anything at the moment. So reacting to Netherlands, Finland, just securing our position with what we do and kind of signing more clients where we can. So I think we're looking at getting another 10 casinos live this year. By the end, we're not trying to do too many and become too big, because then we can't offer the same service. We can't build it the right way. We just become another churn out machine of low value sites. We want to kind of pick our clients quite well, pick people with multiple sites so they can cross sell, do all the usual stuff. But industry wise, hoping that the regulation changes don't ruin everything for everyone, and watching with some anticipation what everybody gets up to. Pretty much it, really.
Fantastic.
Waiting to see if Pontus ever makes his own pizza.
Yeah, well, that's the next step. That's the next step.
Can we invite him here to make a pizza live?
I think that would be like something like you swimming in snakes or something like that. I mean, considering how scared he is.
That's true. I don't like snakes.
Yeah. It's like, but you need to confront your phobias, right?
Put a snake in the corner, and I'll make a pizza with Pontus, and then we both have to go and touch a snake.
Right,
I'd be in for that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, confront your phobias. Fantastic, Phil. I mean, we managed to get through this unscathed, I think. There was not that many insults flying around, I don't think. I
don't even think I swore.
Okay. No.
I think you swore.
I swore once, yeah.
I think we did quite well.
Yeah.
Put euro in the jar.
Yeah.
No, I think this is like my least confrontational one ever, apart from telling people to build better games. But apart from that, it was fine.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Phil. I'll see you here in 6 months again.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome.